Hi guys, greetings to you all, and once again I welcome you all back onto the Stratford Africa channel. We are back again today in this video to honor our promise in our last video. You guys remember that we said we'll be doing a preview to our upcoming Premier League game against Leeds United. So that is exactly what we are going to do in this video. So this is your match reaction, or sorry, this is your match preview video to the Leeds United game, which happens to be our first Premier League game of the season. Yes, so Manchester United will be opening their Premier League campaign against Leeds United at Old Trafford on Saturday. So that is what we are coming here to preview in this video. We'll be looking deep into the game and then looking into the occasion. How has Manchester United been performing in their first games of the seasons? And then when it comes to specifically against Leeds United, how has that fixture been? What is the history behind it? And what do you expect? And our predicted starters and all of that. So that being said, before we move straight into it, I would like to urge you all to keep supporting the community and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and keep sharing the video and invite more people into the community. So that being said, let's just jump straight into it. So as I said earlier, this is our first Premier League game of the season. So we will be taking a little bit look into the occasion. That is the occasion of the opening day games. How has Manchester United fared in those games? Like what is the history behind Manchester United's performance in their first game of the season? So that is what we are going to look at right now. So in that area, United have played a total of 29 games in the opening day of the Premier League season, and out of those 29 games, United have won 19 out of the 29, and this is the most any club has ever won on their first day of a season game. So United is the team leading in that area. United is the team that has won most of its first game in the league, more than any other team, 19 times. And out of the 29 games, United have lost 6 and then gone in and drawn 4 games. So 4 draws, 6 losses, and 19 wins, totaling 29 games. So until last season, United we were winning, like our last 5 opening day games, we were winning them consecutively. It was only last season that we slipped up and we lost to Crystal Palace 2-1 at home. You guys remember that game? That was when our early woes last season started. So until then, if we were to go back 5 seasons back, all our starting games we won them. So in that area, United is looking very, very strong there. The numbers there shows that United always wins their first game of the season, except for a couple of slip-ups here and there. So that is very, very important and crucial there. So you see, as I said, it was only last season that we lost our first game, and from the last 60 years or from the last 5 years, last season we lost our first game. And you know the knock-on effect of that. It went on and as a result of that, we didn't start the season well. We kept losing and drawing here and there. In our first 5 matches, we didn't get enough points from it. So that is very, very important. I think this time around, the manager and the boys will have to do everything they can to stop that from happening. Just as Pep Guardiola said the other time, that we don't lose the league in the first 5 matches, but you might lose the opportunity to win the league in those 5 matches. And Ole himself agrees with Pep and said that is what happened to United last season. So with that hindsight in mind, I think we need to do all we can to start this season on a very, very, very good and positive note. So that being said, that is the record there in total games of our the way we have been starting our campaigns. So now let's come and narrow it down to Old Trafford, which happens to be our home grounds. So how have we fared in our home grounds when we are starting our Premier League seasons, playing our first game at home? So the 29 games I said earlier was all everywhere. Those that we have played away and at home put together. But so now we are not coming to separate those that we have played in Old Trafford alone. And when you look at that area, the record has it that United have played 17 games, 17 opening Premier League games at Old Trafford. And out of those 17, United have won 12 of them and then drawn 3 and lost 2. So 17 games, 12 wins, 3 draws, and 2 losses. So that is a very, very impressive statistics there. And as we all know, this game coming up on Saturday is going to be played at Old Trafford. We are not going to the Elland Road. We are hosting Leeds United at home. So if anything, history is to go by anything, this record I'm counting on to help us go on and win that game. So generally, the overview of United's opening Premier League matches is what I have touched on. It's looking very, very great for us, and it's an area that we've always almost done well. So moving on. So what is the records on these situations, like this occasion, the opening day of the Premier League? How does it look like for Manchester United? We are going on, and in the area of biggest win and biggest losses, United's biggest win on the opening day of the Premier League season came in the 2006-2007 season, when United thrashed Fulham by 5-1. So that is our biggest first day win ever that we have ever recorded. It was a 5-1 win in the 2006-2007 season against Fulham United. The likes of Luis Saha, Wayne Rooney, them all scored on that day. And then also the opposite of that too happened in the 1995 year, when United lost 3-1 to Aston Villa. That is our biggest defeat ever on the opening day of the Premier League season. We lost 3-1 to Aston Villa in 1995. That was the season that the famous "you will never win anything with kids" quotes were made about the class of 92 lads. You guys remember that incident. If you really read the history of the class of 92 and the history of Manchester United and what it has been able to achieve, this incident I'm referring to right now is a very, very, very crucial and dominant thing that always gets referred at. It was made in the early stages of the class of 92's career. When they were promoted to the first team, they were still considered as kids, and a lot of the first team were dominated by them. So when they lost this first game of that season, a lot of pundits, who as you know pundits will always do, they were criticizing them, and they were saying if United are going to rely on these kids, they will never win anything with kids. But we all know the history and what happens later. These kids grew and went on and proved all of these people wrong, and almost all of them are holding legendary status at the football club right now, and they've gone on and win stuff and made a beautiful career for themselves. So that occasion, it still stands as our worst or our heaviest defeat ever on the first day of the Premier League season. So, and when you look at the teams that we have faced the most in the opening weekend of the Premier League season too, is Everton and Newcastle. These two teams are the teams that we have played the most, more than any other team, and we have played each one of them 3 times. So Everton and Newcastle are the opponents that we have faced most to open the Premier League season. And then also Wayne Rooney too holds the record of most goals scored in the first game of the Premier League season for Manchester United. He has scored 7 goals there. So he's the player who has scored most goals in the opening day of the Premier League fixtures, all put together. So basically, I think that is the small background and insight and historical what's the name background around Manchester United's opening day Premier League fixtures. So basically, this is all that I can say about that. So now this is our first game. So this is the background around that. So let's move on and then take a look at this particular fixture and narrow down to this particular fixture, which is Manchester United versus Leeds United for the 2021-2022 Premier League season. That is our season opener. So when you take these two teams in all competitions, head-to-head wise, they have played each other a total number of 53 times, and out of those 53 times, United have won 22. Leeds United have won 15, and then 16 of those games have ended in draw. So 16 draws, 15 wins for Leeds United, and 22 wins for Manchester United. All put together comes to a total of 53 games that has been played in between these two teams. You understand? So these two clubs are great English clubs that share a very, very strong bond of rivalry. They don't see eye to eye. So it is going to be a very, very fascinating game over the weekend, especially now that the fans are going to be back at the grounds for this game. So we are looking forward to it to see whether Leeds United can cause any upset or not. So these statistics or these numbers I have put across is the head-to-head in all competitions. So now let's narrow down and come and look at the head-to-head when it comes to the Premier League alone. So in that sense, these two teams have played each other 26 games in the Premier League, and out of those 26 games, Manchester United have won 14, and Leeds United have only won 4, with 8 of these games ending in a draw. So 26 games, 14 wins for Man United, only 4 wins for Leeds United, and 8 draws. You understand? And also there is that record that Leeds United have never won a game at Old Trafford before. When it comes to Old Trafford as a ground in the Premier League, Leeds United have 0 wins there. So in all of this, if history, as I said earlier, is going to go anything to go by, I think United has the edge to win this game. So in going into this game, usually we will do this and then we look at the various teams' form guides. But you know, as I said, as you all know, it is the first Premier League game of the season, so there's no really form guide. I don't want to carry last season's form guide into this current season. It's a brand new season altogether. Things might change and new things might happen. So now we are going into this game of our pre-season form. These two clubs have been preparing and getting themselves ready for this particular occasion. So let's look at how these two teams have fared in their preparations and their pre-season matches. So in the area of Manchester United, they were scheduled to play 6 games, but one of them got cancelled due to COVID and its related issues. So they ended up playing, or Manchester United ended up playing 5 games. So out of these 5 games, United won 2, lost 1, and also drew 1 with Brentford. They lost against QPR, who is a championship team, and then also they won against Derby County, a championship side, and a 4-0 thrashing of Everton just this past week. So we understand, because of the Man United players' involvement in the Euros, we have talked about all of that. So a lot of the first team players were not back, and then the QPR and the Derby County game were mostly dominated by the French players and the academic guys. You understand? So it's the same thing at the camp of Leeds United too. So Leeds United, they came back to pre-season match earlier than Manchester United, and they played a total of 7 games, some of which were also mainly dominated by the under-23s. But in all being said, out of these 7 games, they only won 1, drawn 2, and they lost 5. So when we are going to take any thing serious by the pre-season form, you can see that Leeds United are not looking pretty much good. They don't seem ready for the season, but that is not anything to go by. Pre-season is pre-season. Whenever the real business starts, difference are made, and the pre-season form is mostly thrown out of the window. So that being said, I think that is how both teams are coming into this game and how they have prepared themselves. Leeds United have played a couple of good teams. They have played Ajax, Villarreal, Real Betis, and Blackburn in their pre-season. So someone could argue that these are much tougher opponents than compared to the likes of Brentford and QPRs and the Derby counties. You understand? So the pre-season form is not anything that serious to take into consideration, though. But that is what we are coming into this game off. That is off what we are coming into this game. That is how both teams have prepared into, and then based on that, the managers will then look and then pick their starting 11s and all of that. You understand? So that is why I just touched on it. So moving on from the camp of United, as we are a Manchester United channel and we are United fans, so let's look at our predicted 11 and players that we think might start or might not start. So to start with, I think Henderson is out with COVID, and then it's only David De Gea who is left. So automatically De Gea will have to start. So the debate of whether who will be our number 1 or not doesn't come to play in this game. David De Gea obviously keeps the starting place in the post. And then also the back 4, I think only won't change from the one that played against Everton. The one that started against Everton, our traditional back 4 of Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, and then Luke Shaw. Yes, because I don't think the Varane deal still hasn't been announced yet because of COVID, quarantine and medicals and stuff. It is expected to be announced this evening, though. You understand? So, and I don't think the manager will throw him into it off these few days of training unless of course maybe he will do it, because he did it with Maguire when he signed. And you know, Maguire too, he had been training with Leicester City for some days before, but Maguire, Varane's situation is not like that, so I'm not expecting him to throw Varane into it. Maybe you can name him on the bench or something, so the back line doesn't change for me. And then also, I'm not expecting, as I said earlier, I'm not expecting Varane to start, and I'm also expecting Sancho to start, because Sancho has had about a week training under his belt, but he hasn't had any match minutes yet. So maybe he might impact the game from the bench or something, but I don't really expect him to start the game. And then also in the midfield, that is where the dilemma is. That's where the ambiguity lies. I don't know whether he will stick with Donny and Matic, or he will bring in Fred and McTominay. Pogba, there's Pogba in the mix. Whether Pogba will start or not, nobody knows. You understand? But in these early games, I think Oli is going to stick with people that he think are very fit and ready for the occasion. So our expected lineups are not going to be seen, depending on players who have come back early, who have had the most training, and who are in the best shape to play, especially in the game of this nature against Leeds United, who will never change the way they play. They will come and give you a very high intensity game. If you are not fit enough to match their work rate, you'll be in for a lot of trouble. So in the midfield there, I don't really want to mention names, but I think with the form Matic has come into the season with of the preseason preparations, I think he deserves to start. And who partners him in the pivot, whether McTominay or Fred or Pogba, I leave that to Ole to decide. And then also, you know, for sure Bruno Fernandes will start. And then up front too, I predict Greenwood will start. Martial will lead the line, and either Daniel James or Anthony Elanga will be on the other wing. So it all depends on what Ole sees at training though, and who he thinks is most fit and ready to match up with the work rate of Leeds United. So that being said, I think that is our predicted 11 there, and players that we think will start or might not start. And then also, let's move on and look at who do we think is going to win this game. As I said earlier, the fans are going to be back in the stands, and then the atmosphere is going to be great at Old Trafford. The fierce rivalry between Leeds United and Old Trafford is going to be on full display come this Saturday. So the atmosphere I expect to be very, very exciting, and Old Trafford to be a very, very loud one. Especially fans have missed them, the players have missed the fans a lot. So with a very fully packed capacity Old Trafford, chanting and I mean what's the name, supporting our lads, I expect us to go on and win this game. And another reason too is that it's very, very more important that we win this game and start this season off right. We can't do what we did last season and then start playing catch up by like 4 or 5 games into the season, and we are already playing catch up to the likes of Man City or Liverpool or Chelsea. Every team has strengthened, and we have also equally strengthened a bit. So I'm looking forward to this season, and then I hope the boys will get ready, get their heads down, focused, and then get onto the job and then deliver for us. So that being said, I expect United to win the game, maybe 2-0 or 3-1, and then so that we can bring back high confidence to the squad and then get the season off very, very, very highly. So basically, that being said, I think this is your match preview for our first game of the season. As I said earlier on, we have touched on the occasion and what is the historical background behind that occasion. Then we have looked at the squad, who are players that we think will start or will not start. Then we've also taken a very in-depth look at the game, head-to-head, and all of that. And then also the predicted score line, and then who we think will win the game. So until we meet again next time, I would like to thank you all again for your support, and then wish you all the best. And then just say stay safe out there, and keep your dialogue right here for more content. Until you meet again next time, bye bye.